Hi everybody, welcome to Inktology. My name is Joshua Lamb and I am your artist that is going to be drawing something fun today. We're going to be doing a cover of a blank comic, Rook Exodus. Now, this is a really cool comic book that just come out recently. If you haven't got it, go pick it up if you're into comic books. But the artwork is fantastic, as you can see. It is created by Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok, Brandon Anderson, and Rob Lee. And one of the people who are on my channel, who follows this channel, gave me these. These are a gift, and they wanted to commission for this blank cover my own interpretation, and that's really awesome because I've never done it, never actually really thought about it. I've always been drawing covers on a piece of paper, just thinking what it would look like, but now I actually get an attempt to draw a real cover and send it in. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe I'll do some justice to their awesome artwork. But yeah, so this video is going to be about my process of creating something that you can't really mess up on because I don't get another comic book to do this on, and it's not a flat piece of paper, it's the actual cover of this comic. So how am I going to do that while maintaining the structure of the comic and the quality of it? How to study the art style and character. I'm going to go through a little bit of that as well. I already have a design in my head, so I'm going to show you through this video how it's going to come out and what kind of cool traits I'm going to be putting into the artwork. So if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe and stay up to date. Hit that notification button if you want to see all the videos that I post. I have a live stream every Tuesday and Thursday. The times fluctuate, but you can always join our Discord that I have, which the link is down below. And that's full of artists that are very encouraging. You can submit your arts and get it critiqued. And we have these little challenges once a month to just see what we can do and create together as fellow artists. So let's get into it and let's start drawing. Okay, so what is a blank cover? Blank cover is simply what it looks like. Here's an original cover to the actual comic book, right? And you can see that it's drawn well. This is the original cover for the comic. I believe this one's drawn by Fabok, yes. Fabok and colored by Anderson. And it's a full spread across the page. You have the female character who's a wolf character here, and she controls the wolves with her helmet. You have the bear guy who is in control of the bears. He's the bad guy in this story, at least this episode or issue. You have the boar who's the friend. He controls the pigs and the boars. And then the main character here, Rook, who is a 35-year-old ex-farmer who controls the crows, ravens, you know, those kind of things. And that's where you get Rook Exodus. Now, the story of this is about humans found another planet to allow controlling the animals and wildlife to do more farming. It's like a perfect world. Well, it didn't work out, so now they have two Earths. It didn't work out. Earth 1 didn't work out, and then this other one called Exodus. And it's about these characters trying to leave Exodus, the planet Exodus. And our main character, Rook, here you can see these cool binoculars. He's trying to salvage parts to get this ship and flee out of this place. And he's the main dude. He controls all the birds. And he's got friends, and we meet characters throughout his journey. You have storylines. You have his friend here named Swine. He controls all the pigs and the boars and stuff like that. And this will come into play for the cover. And so, like right here, we have some of the storyline. I'm giving some spoilers out here, but you can see it because you're going to see it on my artwork and where I'm getting the idea. I'm going to put it right here on the front. I'm going to draw it with, you know, the characters and the swine's going to be in the background and the far back. With the birds coming backwards, and then you have the foreground. You're going to have the main character with the burning rook, and that'll be right there. Before we begin, let's go over the tools that I'll be using in order to accomplish this drawing. The main tool I'm going to be using for the beginning is going to be my 4H pencil. This pencil here is going to give me a light draw, and it's going to allow me to shade and do everything without really getting intense with the dark and too much graphite being put on the paper. Okay. If I feel more confident with it, I might go to my 5B here, which is definitely the step in the opposite direction where it's going to be much darker. But this is an if. Most likely won't be doing that because this will be an inking. So I have a few pens I'm going to be using. I'm going to have a very small 05 black liner. These are Molotow. These are great. I just started using these really solid blacks. A 4, which is your thicker pen, and of course a 1, which is my main go-to size for outlining your characters. And then for the very, very, very small stuff, very thin details, lines, is going to be the 003. I'm going to alternate between these two depending on I like this one. This one's very, very thin, but I think I've worn down the tip too much. So most likely we'll be sticking with the micron for fine detail work. Okay, but first steps is drawing and building out the cover the way I want it to be with these two characters. I want the focus to be on Rook, while behind him is this hovering on fire field of corn, while the swine character is posed in this almost crucified position. I think that's pretty dope. I think it makes a pretty exotic first issue cover, you know. So I'm working on the back of the cover now, and it's coming together. I've had to change a few things on the female character here, but the front is pretty much done. I have the concept built out well enough. I just have to remember whenever I'm drawing a cover and a back, I need to always open it up. Also make sure there's nothing underneath to make sure that the image is merging into the next image. They're not side by side each other, but they tell two different scenes that kind of merge, where the crows will be turning into the ships, and we have the bad guy and stuff like that. They're kind of like facing different things, but just need to flatten it out every once in a while, make sure it's coming together correctly. And I think it's coming up great. I think the person who looks at the front will be able to look at the back and have two different stories to dive into in this issue 1. So it's coming out not too bad. I'm excited for it. In which I think the actual back of this comic book cover looks really cool. I think it's better than the front almost, because it kind of tells you what's happening. It's going to happen at the end of the comic and leads up the characters without giving away too much information. I really like that, and that's what I'm trying to build here. And it's fun to kind of get to know her outfit and the character's suits and all this different stuff that they have on. That hand I'm actually drawing on the Ursal is actually my hand. I took a photo of it so I can get the perspective correct to hold the head of the boar. And now to finish up Ursal and sketching him all out and all his shading and his high-tech arm thing that's going on here. And then the crows that morph into the ships that are escaping Exodus. That was the whole idea there, to have that kind of morphing from the front page of animals to the Exodus of these big ships. So here it is, guys, the front and back cover of the comic. This is the sketch. This is what it looks like before it gets inked. And so just take it all in. I love the way the pencil looks on this paper, and the characters came out. I'm just finishing up right now with some of the details, some of the line work, cleaning it up, getting it ready for inking. Okay, I'm done. I think this is looking great. I just messaged the person asking for the commission and to see what he thought, and he said he enjoyed it, he liked it. But yeah, let's get into inking and let's get started. I'll start with the 0.05 safer. So when I usually start inking a drawing after penciling it, I will start with the main character or maybe the head, the main focus of the drawing, because I feel like if I can go all out and get the style and look that I want from the most important viewpoint of the page right away, the rest of the page will come together, right? And it kind of gives me comfort. That's the way I do my order. And then I also start drawing the foreground backwards, so leading to the background. That way I can have everything that's done in the front foreground, like the bird and him sitting here, mostly complete without bothering with the other elements of the picture interacting with it and confusing me. Though this one here does have items like the corn stalks that are in front of his feet, that are in front of him coming towards the viewer of the page. But in this instance, he is the main focus, so I started with him. That way I can build around him and I know that he is taken care of. I also start with the medium pens, usually the 1, and then if I make any mistakes I can come up and cover them up with the 0.05 or cover them up with a brush pen or that 04 that I have, a thicker Molotov. Just put in black and then nobody knows what happened. But in this situation, nearly every line led up to what I wanted it to be. There were a few mistakes. I covered them up, took care of it. But for now, just finishing up Rook, getting him to look correct. And this was actually taken from a photo of me in front of a flashlight on the ground, taking a photo, a selfie, so that I can get the lighting correct and kind of the clothing. I wore similar clothing so I can see where the shadows bent and stuff. And that's a good way to build your characters and the references and the drawings and make it feel just easier to draw as well as more accurate. So don't be shy to take photos of yourself and draw these in, especially if you have the wardrobe that matches your characters. After finishing Rook, I worked on some specific items in the other parts of the cover, so that way I can kind of have a larger picture in my head of where I should be kind of tackling for the drawing, you know, doing some items like the birds and then like some other stalks in the background. But then after that, I started working from the foreground back with each stalk, because I found that if I was going to work from back forward, it'd get too complicated with adding fire in there. This way I can do a couple stalks, add fire, put more stalks behind it and continue going. And that seemed to work out just fine for me. The worry here was actually being over detailed with the stalks and it being too complicated, and then where the shadows wouldn't make sense if I just got made too much and maybe I made a wrong mistake and filled in the wrong spacing. But it all worked out in the end when I was just taking my time. And it works even better that the stalks kind of come closer to the camera or to the viewer when it merges to the other side of the comic. And that's what I wanted. I wanted these leaves to kind of be bigger, kind of facing the viewer, the reader. But I didn't want it to fill up the whole page and kind of go across the back, because the back was going to be a whole different scenery. I just wanted this tie-in. With the corn being the kind of divider between the main character and the swine character behind him, it works out really well. I'm going with the swine character. I'm going to be drawing him with a thinner 0.05 and a 0.03 thinner lines as the distance goes into the background. And that's pretty much it. So what do you think? I think myself, I enjoy this. This looks like an awesome front cover. If I saw this on the store, I'd pick it up for sure. Black and white, it's got so much going on. When you look into it, you see more and more, and then you realize that the black in the background isn't fire, but it's crows flying away from the field. You have this swine character burning on fire. You have this guy who just looks awesome. He's just looking at this dead on fire crow in this cornfield. What more to explain? I want to read the comic book right here now. So yeah, this is the front cover that I kind of imagined to kind of lead up to the story, and then I've divided it through 4 sections. You have character, the field, the other character, and then the crows as it goes upwards like that. And it's a good lead up for the back, as the back will have more of just characters kind of, you know, showing what they can do. Like right here I have her facing him, so you don't see who she is. Ursula here, the main villain, he is about to attack her. You don't know who she is because she's not in this first issue comic. nowhere in the end do they kind of reveal her. It's more about the other characters. So I didn't want to show her face. And in the first issue that they drew, they did that. They showed her front and kind of what she looked like. I didn't want to do that, portraying my version of the issue number 1. So I just left it like this. Okay, so now that I've got this penciling, I'm going to go into inking this. And let's start. Starting with the 005 because the fur and the hair of the wolf, I wanted to get really fine details with this and do something a little bit different for texture and focus on this fur and hair texturing of the wolf. Because it's closer to the viewer, I'm able to get in there and just create a different texture than the rest of the fur and hair that you will see in the rest of the image or other characters, right? Other than the boar, I think I might do a similar pattern where there's these lines that kind of go all over the place. And I left, of course, room for the filling of the blacks, getting those shadows in to kind of save me time also, but build the form of the character. It was actually kind of interesting to try to draw the wolf because I had to find a view of the wolf from this angle, which was pretty much non-existent on the internet. So I built out the wolf and then realized, oh, you know, I think where my interpretation of this angle of the wolf is, if I have any failures, maybe they'll be either hidden or lost in translation through the texture of the wolf's fur. And I think that's what I was able to pull off. I think the focus of it goes onto the fur, and you don't see that the hip actually comes in too early. Not too much at least, because you have the tail that comes in and saves the day and goes across the bottom. I enjoyed actually moving over to the female character because with most of my character drawings, I do a thin, smooth line. And with her, she's a lot of smooth lines. And also the texture of her, like, what is this, latex outfit she's wearing in the heat, which makes no sense. And as I mentioned before, the reason why I have her facing, you don't see who she is or what she looks like, is because in this first issue, you don't actually meet her. Which is what was strange when I picked up the comic and I saw the characters and I started reading and I didn't find her in it. I was like, oh, well, that's cool, not cool, I don't know. You know, like I felt like I should have at least a little hint at her, maybe even a photo or something. Maybe I missed it. But that's why I was like, you know what, if I'm going to do the same, introduce her to be in the same fashion, I'm not going to show who she is. And that's why she's facing the other direction. And I think it worked out. I think it plays very well. You see this wolf, you see that there is a character, but you don't get, it's kind of a tease as well. Moving on to him. He was much more complicated because he has all these different moving parts to him, with his arms being mechanical and his helmet and the leather and the fur and the muscles and all that kind of stuff and the guns. It's a lot there, but also is also kind of fun because you get to mix your mediums of drawing and styles and textures, right? And that's kind of fun to always play with one character having all of that. So this is a really cool character because he feels brutal. He feels like a villain. He definitely feels like he can rampage these characters down. And with him holding the boar's head, hopefully this isn't Pumbaa, but him holding the head of a boar is definitely a sign of his strength and his power. And I think that's a great villain because he kind of matches on the same theme of the characters, right? Because he doesn't go outside the rules. He's like, okay, these people have kind of powers by controlling these animals. Well, the boar is a pretty strong one. Birds are pretty impressive, you know, and if you have sea creatures, well, he's got bears, and bears are, I mean, hands down one of the strongest animals out there and most, you know, violent it can be. So I think him coming in as a character that is the controller of that being a bad guy, it's like, oh, okay, I see where these characters are going to develop, and you're going to meet new characters who have, hopefully they're on the good guy's side, but maybe not. Maybe everybody's a bad guy. And this guy's ripped. He's kind of crazy. You don't see his face, and you just get an introduction to him in the first issue. they kind of introduced what was happening, of course, where people are leaving Exodus, the new planet that they made or have for humans, but they didn't like Exodus either. Earth didn't work out, Exodus didn't work out, and then they're leaving, but some remained, and these are those people, right? I enjoyed actually drawing these kind of wires and stuff, but I had just spent too much time on it, as well as with hair and fur, like with this boar. It did come out looking great though. It definitely felt like the hairs were more like wire and stiff. And the final touches of this were mainly to get the cornfield stalks and the fire to blend in with the back cover, fill in the shadows, and then build out a planet at the top. Okay, so now that I'm done, this looks good. So that's the back cover of the Rook Exodus, issue number 1. You got the villain facing this heroic female character with her wolf. You don't know who she is yet because she's not introduced in this first issue anyways. You've got some events in the background that kind of merge and give question, you know, to what's really going on in this world. And you have the main character, right? Rook kind of sitting here all like, done deal, end of the world kind of vibes, right? And I think this sets up the Rook Exodus, at least the first couple of issues that I've read, I've enjoyed. I think this leads up pretty well. I think this does a good job. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below of what you think of the spread. This was very fun. Took me too long to do because I kept on procrastinating. I didn't want to mess up. This was my first blank cover to do. And now that I know that I could do more, I picked up an actual Witchblade, which I'm very excited to do. But this was very fun. Jason Fabok's style is amazing, and thank you, Sam, the guy who commissioned me to do this, as well as sending me all these comic books. He sent me a whole bunch of the Ghost Machine World comics and a couple issues so I can get started. And what a pleasure. Like, this is such good artwork. Like, it's so nice to read comic books that have like just really, really good art. You know, I mean, subjectively, right, of course. But I don't know, if you see this cover, it's amazing. This is the first issue number 1, right? You've got him standing heroically, his lines are clean, he's got the nice spacing, and it's just beautiful, and it's colored beautifully too. The colorist is amazing too, mad props. But then you have this character, the female character, you kind of see her full figure and everything, but then when you read the comics, spoiler alert, she ain't in it, Yeah, so that's why I left in this one, she's facing forward. But don't worry, you're not missing out if you know that she's not in it, because this is an amazing comic to read. Oh man, look at this artwork. It's like, when I was a little kid, I found Spawn and Todd McFarlane, and Todd McFarlane became like the pathway to my artistic comic book skills of learning how to draw. Like, I loved it. And that's why I do so much ink, because I love the way he used black for characters and comic book styles. But that's when I had that feeling. I was like, whoa, this is different from some DC and other stuff that I'm used to, clean lines. When I saw this come out, this was like, whoa, this is like Todd McFarlane vibes, but then it's a little bit cleaned up too. It's got this structure of, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know, I love it. I think it's the mech animal suits that kind of give this like very sharp structure to it. It's different. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyways, great comic books. Get them, Rook Exodus. They also have some, Geiger is a good one. And I forget the others. They have a few on the back here. Anyways, I'm digressing. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you found it instructive, please like and subscribe if you're new as well. If you want to join a community of artists, please join the Discord. That's very fun. We have all kinds of different skill levels of the artists, and we all chat about our art and share and learn different tips from each other, so please join. Link will be down below. You can also support me on Patreon and Instagram and other social media. All those links will be down below as well. But I really appreciate you watching. From one artist to another, thank you. And if you're creative, go create. I'll see you guys next time.